Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have used an old duvet cover to create a pair of high-waisted fitted trousers. These may look like they were difficult to make, but they were actually quite easy, making them a great project for anyone. So let's get into it. To make these trousers, I only used one side of the duvet cover. I started by folding this in half and cutting along the folded edge. Ending up with two separate pieces. Taking the first piece, I folded this in half and used a pair of my jeans that I liked the fit of to use as a template for my new pair of trousers. With the jeans folded in half, I placed the straight edge of them along the folded edge of the fabric. Next, I drew around the shape of the jeans, adding an extra inch for seam allowance. I then cut this out. This is how it looked unfolded. I then repeated this on the second piece of fabric. This is how they looked. I then placed these two pieces right sides together and pinned down the sides up until the points. Once everything was pinned in place, I sewed where I'd pinned. When everything was sewn, I took the middle of each side so the seams I had just sewn were now on the front and back and lined up, giving me the legs to my trousers. Next, I pinned along the open edges. This would make the inside seams for both legs and the crotch seam. Once I'd pinned everything in place, I sewed where I'd pinned. This is how they looked when they were turned the right way out. On to making the waistband. I measured around the top of the trousers. My measurement was 40 inches. Using some of the leftover fabric, I marked and measured a piece that was 41 inches long and 5 inches wide. I added an extra inch for seam allowance, and as this would be folded in half, the waistband will be 2.5 inches wide. I then cut this out. I folded this in half and pinned along the open edge. I then sewed where I'd pinned. This is how it looked. I folded this in half so the right side of the fabric was on the outside. I now needed to attach the waistband to the trousers. With the seam of the waistband lining up with the seam on the trousers, I placed the waistband over the trousers and made sure that the open edge of the waistband was at the top. I then pinned the waistband in place all the way around the top of the trousers. Once it was pinned in place, I sewed where I'd pinned, but made sure to leave a gap in the waistband as I'll be adding elastic to it later. Next, I measured a piece of elastic around my waist and cut it where it felt comfortable. I pinned one end of the elastic to the waistband and attached the other end to a safety pin and fed it through the waistband. Once the elastic was fed all the way around the waistband, I overlapped the ends and sewed them together. This is how it looked. I then sewed the gap in the waistband shut. Moving on to hemming the trousers. I tried them on and worked out how much I needed to turn up and hem. My measurement was 1.5 inches. I folded the trouser leg up 1.5 inches and pinned this in place. I checked that the back of the trouser leg was level with the front and pinned this in place. I then repeated this on the other leg. Once everything was pinned in place, I sewed where I'd pinned. Lastly, I decided to make a waist tie. Going back to the leftover fabric, I measured and cut out a piece that was 53 inches long and 2 inches wide. There wasn't a specific measurement for this. I made my waist tie the length of the remaining fabric. This is what I had. I folded this in half, right sides together, and pinned along the open edge. I then sewed where I'd pinned. This is how it looked once it was sewn. I turned this inside out so it was now the right way round. I used a safety pin to help me do this. I then folded the ends into the waist tie and sewed across the open edge. This would give the ends a need to finish. The trousers were now complete and this is how they looked. I was really pleased with how they turned out, and making them from an old duvet cover means that any design or pattern is possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.